Game time decisions from your Buckeye Talk crew. I'm Nathan Baird, along here with Stephen Means. These are the aspects of the Ohio State-Arkansas State game that you should be looking for today in Ohio Stadium, what these teams will need to do to win this game. I think more specifically, what Ohio State's going to need to do to win this game by as much as it wants to win this game by. Stephen, what is your game time decision?
Yeah, I don't know if this helps them win by as much as I predicted them to win, but I want to see timing. I want to see execution. I want to see chemistry with everybody not named Jackson Smith and Jigba when it comes to CJ Stroud, whether he's playing or not. And even if he does play, I doubt he plays very long because, quite frankly, you don't need Jackson Smith and Jigba to beat Arkansas State. But what you are going to need is Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Ibuka, and to some extent, Jaden Ballard, and maybe even David Johnson. Now he's got a touchdown this year, to have that type of chemistry with CJ Stroud, because it can't just be the CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith, the Jigba play catch all season like it was against Utah when you're playing against running backs. There actually has to be other people who are threats to get the ball. So I want to see, does it feel like they've worked on their timing and their chemistry throughout the season? And so I'm not going to be necessarily paying that, are these guys 5 yards open? Because they might be. It's Arkansas State. But is the timing right? Does it feel like the ball placement is right? Does it feel like every third throw we're going, that didn't look quite right. And if they're playing Wisconsin or Iowa or Penn State, it's not going to work that well. That's the stuff I want to see. I want to see growth after a week of those guys getting on the field and getting that experience out the way. I want to see how that continues to grow for what might be the best passing offense in the country, but it doesn't matter if there's no chemistry there.
And I want to see Julian Fleming. This isn't my pick, but I want to see him be able to get on the field and play this week. Ryan Day said he was close to playing. He was a game time decision last week. We looked like he was practicing this week, so we'll see if he's able to get on the field and start his season on Saturday. I'm going the other side of the ball. Doug and I talked about this on the post-game podcast, Buckeye Talk, for those of you who are seeing this for the first time. Or not the post-game, the day after, the Monday podcast. And this Jim Knowles and this sort of call and response he has with the defense about 5 plays or fewer. I can't remember the word now. Championship or undefeated. I think that's what it is, right? Allow 5 explosive plays or fewer, and you go undefeated. And that's pass plays of 15 or more yards and run plays of 10 or more yards, I think it is. And Ohio State against our Notre Dame allowed 4 pass plays of 22 yards, and then another of 17 yards, of 22 or more yards, another of 17 yards, and then 2 running plays, 12 and 13 yards. So 6 total explosive plays and 1 that was close. I think they want to really reduce that number against Arkansas State. Arkansas State has some guys. James Blackman used to be the starting quarterback at Florida State. Some other guys at their skill positions. A lot of them came from Power 5 programs or transferred in from other places, and they have some skill. Obviously, they put up 58 points against a bad Grambling State team last week. But I think Ohio State's defense, that's maybe the next step. Some of the explosive plays, they come on the blitz and Notre Dame hits it and the guy misses a tackle. So it wasn't like a blown schematic coverage thing. It was just sort of a thing that went wonky on that play. Those things are going to happen once in a while, and that's a little bit baked into how Ohio State approaches a game, all teams, defensively. You know that there's going to be a bend once in a while and something bad can happen, and Ohio State obviously responded that well, but I think they want that number to be way below 6 for an opponent like Arkansas State. I think you're probably looking at, can you keep that number to half of that, keep it well below 5, and because that's the number that they're shooting for, not just in this game, but do it in this game and try to set the precedent for those teams you're talking about later: Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, whoever else that Iowa, the guys that well, maybe not so much Iowa, but the other teams that they have on this schedule in the back half. I had to get an Iowa bash in there before we signed off. Come to the post-game pod, Buckeye Talk, anywhere you can find podcasts. We're going to record it as soon as we can after the game on Saturday, and get the text 614-350-3315, news, analysis, perspective as the game's happening and throughout the week from Buckeye Talk.